Welcome to the Star Trek Discovery After Show. We hope that you have had the opportunity to watch season 4, episode 4, because we are definitely about to talk about it and the fact that all is possible. And as a testament to that, here I am hosting a show. So obviously, all is possible. But what is also possible is that we are joined, of course, by our friend Nikki Bailey. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Christian.
Let's dive right into season 4, episode 4. All is possible. Always like to start big picture. We really only had two stories, and I guess there were three distinctive stories in this episode. But we spent most of our time with two of them. So we've got the Navarre rejoining the Federation. We've got the cadet training mission gone awry, and we've got Book having his third unlikely pairing in consecutive episodes. Sorry, his second unlikely pairing in consecutive episodes. So overall, as we navigated those three stories, what did you think of this episode, Nikki?
It felt pretty balanced. It felt like there was no pressure. Like I didn't feel like I never had like a big adrenaline rush. There were a couple of moments where I was like, what's going to happen? But it was a relatively chill episode. It felt very Star Trekky. We got some diplomacy going on. We had a mission, and then we had some really great character stuff with Book. And so I thought it was a good episode. I felt like it felt like they found some kind of balance point, some kind of um what's the word I'm looking for? It felt stable. It felt like this was a really stable episode.
Yeah, I think it was fairly well balanced. And in true Star Trek fashion, someone that we don't know, as soon as they get down to a planet, somebody dies instantly. That's
Right.
really a hallmark of Star Trek going back, 55, almost 60 years at this point. So, I think that that storyline at least featured the most danger and action, because the other two storylines had the danger in diplomacy gone awry, or the danger in getting to the bottom of your feelings. And
Mm.
for many of us, that's the real danger. It's
That's
better to
that's
just
where
keep it
the
all
hard
behind.
stuff is.
That is where the hard stuff is. And I thought that we really get a lot. They've been doing some great work with Tilly this season, and we'll have to talk more about that in a little bit. But the just sort of getting outside of her comfort zone. This essentially seemed right inside of her comfort zone, if all had gone according to plan, that is. And this idea that Adira goes with Tilly, I think that certainly makes sense, because I mean, I guess Adira's rank is an ensign, but also they're not that far removed from the academy. But as the episode demonstrates, they also have hundreds of years of experience to pull from. So kind of like an interesting balance. And I don't know. I think it was an interesting point. By the way, I loved seeing the return of David Cronenberg. That he wasn't necessarily needed in this episode, but he's such a weird and interesting character, that it was nice to have an excuse to have him there. But sort of that, I mean, I think that the parallel that we're getting to the present day is this idea that, these cadets who've graduated Starfleet, their interpersonal relations are very much a bit stunted, because, they haven't traveled the galaxy the way that previous classes would have. And I think that that's a long term concern for kids as young as my kids' age, through high school and college that had more than a year of stunted, emotional interaction. And
Yeah, it speaks to what kids are going through right now.
yeah, so I thought it was an interesting, very easily made parallel that I think we as an audience can relate to. And, I think that even with that, I think that this sort of group of bickering know it all. I don't know, I guess they're 20 somethings. I don't quite know how old they are when you come out of Starfleet Academy, but that's sort of, I would assume you'd have to go to like a regular university before Starfleet Academy, so that's why I'm assuming. But then you'll have exceptions like Adira. So and we can always throw Wesley Crusher into the mix,
I was
but
just thinking about Wesley because he got his ensign rank before he actually went to the academy, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, I know, and
yeah,
how he was ever on the bridge of the flagship, of the fleet, is
he
a
was a
question for.
genius.
Well, sure, that's true. That's what they always told me.
Hey, do not start the Wesley Crusher
Oh,
hate.
believe me, Will Wheaton made enough headlines for himself this week that I'm going to stay away. So
That's
I'm,
true.
and I think that anyway, I think that it was a good mix of, and I think Tilly really is sort of the ultimate like rah rah team building type, like sort of like, yeah, let's get to know each other, okay, and just sort of the way that she handled it. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think it's very interesting that she used that experience she took that as a sign that she should be, I mean, I could see the idea of her leaving the Discovery to help as a teacher, but I really feel like that mission really showed how well she handles crisis and thinks on her feet, even the way that she sort of non-traditionally handles things. So to me, I think that obviously, while teaching is a very important calling, I would hope that she does sort of find her way back to really being in the front lines and in some action, and I think the fact that David Cronenberg's character, the doctor whose name I forget at the moment, this is like Korvik or something, but he said that he's surprised that any of them survived. The fact that only one person died is a testament to how she handled it. What did you think sort of about all of that, in terms of the decision that Tilly makes based on that experience?
It felt to me like based on that experience, it would have said to her, I need to be on the Discovery. I need to be doing more away missions. I need to be doing more because she really did prove herself as a leader. And she's been showing us week after week that she's a really great leader. So to me, it's a little surprising that she would leave and go teach because she's been demonstrating what a great leader she's been. All this, like we've gotten to see her over the last couple of years really sort of prove herself. So it is surprising to me that she would leave to be a teacher. I'm also just sad about it as a fan because she is one of my favorite characters, and so to not have her in every episode, because even if all she says in the episode is something silly and Tilly-ish, it's worth it for me to watch for her, so I'm gonna miss her.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely, as we've talked about, a character that has grown on me throughout the course of 3+ seasons, and I feel as though Adira is a very similar character type in terms of their brilliance. I mean, Tilly even says it to them about I've never met anybody smarter than you, but and the fact that they also are socially awkward. It sort of checks a lot of the boxes that Tilly does, but I agree the idea of tuning in and Tilly not being on. I would like to think that Tilly will find her way back. And I mean, look, the way that we get these holographic projections like on the bridge or like in people's rooms. There's really no logical way where uh, I mean, there is a very logical way where she can chime in whenever they're problem solving, like, oh,
Right.
let me just take a break. And so I hope they find a way to include her like that before possibly coming to something more long term. And yeah, I think that from a character standpoint, it makes sense that she would want to try and do something else for a little while. But as a fan of the show, the fact that my expectation is we certainly won't see her next week.
Yeah.
Whatever they do after that is to remains to be seen. So I think I was a little disappointed in it. It is a character decision that I think makes sense. But I hope it's not. I mean, and they set it up. She says that she won't be gone for long, or she won't be forever. I think is really what she
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
So hopefully she's back before we know it. But it was, look, there was some good leadership shown there in terms of getting this crew to rally together, and then also knowing that she's the one who needs to create the diversion, as the ranking officer on the mission. And yeah, I thought it was some really strong character stuff for Tilly, which is really what we're talking a lot about this season. They
Yeah.
are we're diving in. We're rich with character development.
It
And
feels like kind of finally, yes, character
yeah.
development.
Yeah, and I think it's great for Adira talking about how they think I think I made some friends,
Mhm.
Uh, so it's nice to see, because obviously that was the conversation they had with Gray earlier in the episode. Gray seems like the kind that is going to, just walk right in and sit down and be like, "Hey, what's everybody doing?" And something that the basically the way that I was always envious of people who could, to still have people who can walk into a room full of strangers and just immediately make themselves part of the conversation, but in a way that nobody looks and goes, "Who the fuck is this? Why are they talking to me?" You know, I feel like even when people don't say that, I'm like, yeah, but they're all thinking it. So I think it was nice to see, really. And I don't know, maybe we'll revisit with these cadets at some point. Sort of the way that they've sort of become unlikely comrades in arms.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that the built-in conflict I thought was nice. Dealing with the chain,
The
just making
emerald
sure that we
chain,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah, the emerald chain. And I don't know. I think that that is a very Star Trekky note. I mean, it's something that it's a parallel to something that Saru says, sort of, the way that Kaminar developed this mistrust and dislike for the other species. And Burnham makes the point about the Vulcans and Romulans feuding for so many centuries that they forgot that they were even the same species. So I think that
Mhm.
that's the overreaching Star Trek message, probably of all of Star Trek, is we should really try to work together. But I think that
Right.
there were a couple of great opportunities where we got to see that. I mean, obviously everybody in the crew starting to work together, working through in those negotiations, and Book just a little bit of letting Dr. Culber help him. So they worked together essentially.
Yeah. I felt that we kind of got back to that sort of, I don't want to say kumbaya, but it was a very like, like let's hands across the Federation kind of kind of episode,
Yeah.
reminding us that of sort of the Star Trek that we know, with which the Federation being what the Federation used to be. It's sort of getting us back um, to that kind of, you know peaceful future that we all kind of hope for and envision, and that Star Trek stood for and stands for. So
Yeah.
I'm
Did
I'm glad to see it back.
did you take away that the president? of the Federation is part Cardassian and part Bajoran, because
Bajoran. Yeah.
that was, I found that to be interesting. I hadn't really considered that, but her pigmentation, so like the features are clearly Cardassian, but her pigmentation, it basically looks like Major Kira. You know what I mean? It's sort
Hmm.
of like you kind of, that's that's our number one Bajoran in our hearts for all these decades. So I thought, yeah, it is kind of an interesting figure to be the president, and sort of this idea of, when we talked about it last week, this idea that TNG brought us, that a Klingon is, well, the first season he wasn't on the bridge, but he was on the crew of the Enterprise. I think it's one of those things that we truly get to see. And yeah, Troy in the chat chiming in. This is what Burnham said: part human, Cardassian, and Bajoran. So she definitely, well, she gets to take off all the holidays, is what that means, because she gets all those. So good. Yeah, I think that I don't know, it's very interesting, and I think that I'm still kind of expecting some more from that character, but as we've gotten to know her, I thought it was interesting, Nikki, and tell me what you think. We had sort of it wasn't really confrontational, but it was a very pointed conversation with Michael in the season premiere, and I think that we're seeing that there is at least more to her than we expected. But so far, it's been in a good way. That this is a character that I think we were supposed to not like, but I think we're starting to understand that politics are complicated.
Yeah, I think we kind of expected her to be a foe of some sort when we first
Yeah,
met her, and now we're finding out that number one, she has more faith in Burnham than she let on in the beginning,
yeah,
because she keeps giving Burnham these opportunities, but also that she actually might be somebody that we can call an ally, if we can get the communication down.
yeah. No, and I think that I think in true uh, Star Trek Discovery fashion, there will be the moment where the president's going to have to trust Burnham against her instincts, but it will end up saving the universe. I feel
Yeah.
like we're just building to that, at some point, and I think it's interesting that, there is that President Rillick is her name, and we're starting to get to really just have this feeling that there is, that she values Michael, her unique perspective, and obviously I think she was the perfect person to appoint herself, I'm talking about Burnham, as this liaison between Navarre and the Federation, because of the fact that she was raised on Vulcan, but I mean, she knows these people and their history, but she
Hmm.
also understands the Federation. So, that's basically, I think, one of those things where I've got the perfect solution to your problem. It's me. But I think she's right. What did you think of Burnham and Saru's solution here?
Well, obviously, the president knew that they would come to, that they would, come up with something, if not that exact thing she knew that they had, that they would see what it was that needed to be done and they'd be able to do it. Um, it felt like a very convenient, uh, you know, uh, compromise that they came up with, but it worked out nicely, and I think Burnham positioning herself as a diplomat now, um, will be in a position um, to make some to not make demands, but have a say in what goes down, on the Federation level, that we didn't think she'd have before. So that could be really interesting, and I'm also really interested in, what her sort of now diplomatic role is going to mean as they sort of figure out what this anomaly is, and and how that then will impact all the other worlds in the Federation. I think it'll be interesting to see, um, the combination of what they do about the DMA and what this means now for Navarre joining the Federation.
Yeah, and I think that they wouldn't set up Burnham in this role if it wasn't going to be tested at some point in this very season. I think that it absolutely makes sense, and we'll certainly see. But let's shift to the sleepover gossip part of the show, which of course is Mr. Saru and the Navarre
Ooh,
president. I believe her name is
yes.
Torino. There, that
Serena,
was,
yeah.
if a well, I was going to say if a lady, but if any being is like, let me help you meditate by touching your hands, and made that face, I'm like, wait, I think something's on right here. And
Am I
I
getting a
just love,
vibe? Yes.
yeah, like I think there's something happening here. And first of all, good for you, Saru. Like, come on, this guy could use some happiness, and I mean, obviously they were setting us up with this just last week, and I think maybe even this might even be the third episode in a row where we've had little hints of this. But let's go get some tea. And then
Mm-hmm.
the only thing missing was 70s porn music right
And
after that.
bound, chicka, bound,
Right,
bound.
exactly. Yeah. Oh, and Troy's got an excellent point. Pon far, baby. Maybe it's time.
It is
You know,
time.
she just for Saru, he just happened to run into her at the right stretch.
President Tarina is about to enter her phase, and she's like, and I'm selecting you.
Yeah, and I think it's very nice to sort of see. I mean, Saru's such a likable character, and anything that brings him any kind of joy. But it's also just sort of this interesting. I think intellectually, I feel like there's a lot that they can learn from each other, and I don't just mean with the lights off.
And I was like, there was something about the way Saru was wearing his diplomacy uniform. I was like, oh wait, he looks like he's about to, because even the uniforms had a little '70s vibe. So I was like, there's something about to jump off here. Saru's looking all good in his uniform.
Yeah, it's like if it were the 70s, he would have undone an extra button at the top and just shown off
A little bit of that, a little bit of that Kelpian
Kelpian
chest
chest
hair.
hair. Exactly. Yeah, it's sort of like the way that Bones looks in Star Trek the Motion Picture when he's got the beard and he's got the shirt open, where he looks like he literally just got transported out of Studio 54, and it's nice to see, and I hope that they spend time with it, and I hope it's a very nice and logical storyline. I think that we obviously there's an extensive history of Vulcans and interspecies romancing, obviously with Spock's mother and Sarek. So I think that, but we haven't really seen sort of that kind of relationship develop or blossom in this way. We would be getting to see it for the first time. So I hope we get to spend more time with it. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, and I mean, I think that obviously President Torino is someone that we know is on our side as an audience, but also on the side of the Federation. There are some of those. There's some of those others that she has to consult with, and it was the same thing last season. You know, there's like the guy who looks a little bit like Tuvok. He kind of always has that look on his face. You're like, I still don't trust that guy. Like
Hmm.
he's always there. Like he's the guy at the party where he's just like, we really need to get going. Like, what? We just got here. And he's like, no, we're good. So but
He's the guy in the
so
conversation who doubts everything that everybody's saying. Yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. So I find that to be sort of an interesting. I think that that's developed in a nice way, and I would like to see more of that. And we referenced it earlier. I think that especially after the first episode this season, Book has become such a more well developed character. Like there's just so many more layers to him than you know the swashbuckling Han Solo type that he appeared to be when we first met him. And that there's really, I don't know, there's this the sensitivity in there, and just sort of the guilt and the pain. And I feel like that is it was nice to watch, sort of the realization that it's going to take a long time. And
Mhm.
Dr. Kolber even points that out. But I think that putting him together with Stamets last week and Dr. Kolber this week, I think just from a storytelling standpoint, it's really brought a lot more out of Book than I think even at the end of last season I thought that we would ever probably get from that character. Do you feel that we're really getting to see a lot more of him?
I
Getting to know him
do.
better.
And I'm loving it because he's already, what's his name? David Ajala, is that his real
I
name, I
believe
think?
that's his name. Yes,
He's already just wonderful to look at, right?
it's
But then
true.
when you add this character work that shows us that he's got all these really emotional depth, and then he looks really great in that long black tunic. Yes, I was feeling it. I was like, let's see Book in therapy every week. um I love it. And even, even the two of them lying in bed and Book's wide awake and she grabs his hand, it just made me like both of it made me like them. Like, it made me, do we still say ship? Like, I'm really shipping them for the duration, because I
Yeah.
really, I it made me like Book that much more, and it made me want to see Book grow, not just as in his relationship with Michael, but just to see him as a more whole person. I'm really enjoying it, and I think that David Ajala is doing a magnificent job.
Yeah, no, I think he has shown some great range as this character. And I hope that he sticks around this show. But I also hope to see more of him. I mean,
Absolutely.
I hope that he gets a lot more opportunities. One of the things that we had said that we wanted more of from this show, and it's more implied, but in the opening narration from Burnham, is this idea that Dr. Culber kind of mandated that everybody needs to have some downtime, and all we really get is a little bit of a montage. Now, I do hope that that sets us up for getting to see more of the crew. I mean, crew members who, again, were not in this episode at all. The bridge crew, we didn't see it all, but sort of trying to capture the feel of past shows. We talked about having the Morn like creature last week. We did have a Ferengi tending bar on the, I believe, on the Discovery, but I suppose that could have been anyway. I felt like it was there. So I thought that I don't know. I really hope that's what we get more of, and it really, it doesn't have to be a whole episode that takes place in the cafeteria, in the mess hall, whatever you want to call it. But to have scenes like that, it's like I keep pointing to the poker games in Next Generation, and
Yeah.
and yes, the holodeck episodes were always diversions, but they were usually fun, I mean.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, if we're able, if the series, the season weren't already finished, and all these decisions made, and we had someone's ear, what would you most like to see? I mean, we've talked a lot about, the characters that we still really don't know that much about, but look, as much as I'm going to miss Tilly, there's an opening for screen time, So, uh,
Yeah.
who who stands out for you that you would like to get to spend more time with?
One of the things I miss about the sort of 24 episode season that we used to get to enjoy is that we had more time for them to do more character stuff, so that we could get to
Yeah,
know people more in depth. And part of me felt this episode felt more like the kind of episode you would see in a 24 episode season. There wasn't a, it wasn't like a big there wasn't a lot about the larger story arc. It was the Navarre conversation was part of that, but we didn't get into a whole lot of the larger story arc. And what I liked about that is that it gave us the opportunity to dive deeper into these characters. So I would really love to see more episodes like this, more episodes where we get um where we're not necessarily concentrating on the larger story arc, but we're getting a chance to zoom in on some of the relationships, because the relationships ultimately are what's going to give this show the staying power it needs to go beyond 4 seasons. If we don't feel for all of these characters in some way, we're not going to keep watching. I mean, we are going to keep watching because we're Star Trek fans, but
Yeah.
I think I would love to see all of the bridge crew just more. I would like to see more of them. I'd like to see more opportunities to see them do sort of day to day stuff. Um, and so yeah, like that would be, I think, ideal for me, is to have some. I'd rather have a longer season with more opportunities to zoom in on these relationships than have just 12 episodes that are about this larger story arc.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there, we've talked about how much we can get to spend with more of the characters, but you're right, it is limited. But again, it's a streaming series, so you're not limited to, you have 42 minutes to tell your story. Yeah, I hope to that we can feel that when the season ends, we can get a balance, because we want to know these characters, we want to care about these characters. But and you are right, we will watch no matter what. But I've talked to a couple of people, actually both of whom have appeared on iterations of this show as guests, and so far they're both having a little trouble with this season, like just getting into it. And I think that I find that we've said a lot in now four straight episodes, that there has been some great character stuff, but I do feel like they're laying a lot of groundwork. So I think we need something big to happen again soon. Obviously, the way that the season premiere ended, that was huge, and that is still ongoing. But I don't know. I think that it doesn't need to be excitement in terms of action packed. We just need to know, what is this threat? Is it naturally occurring? You and I talked last week about this idea that, is it naturally occurring? Did somebody cause it? Did they cause it intentionally? And just sort of, it was like how we needed to figure out the burn last year. And
Right.
I just hope we get more of it, and then people will be excited about it. So we'll just see. We've got some friends in the chat, Stress Free K, whom I remember, and saying woohoo disco all the way. And saying to Troy in the chat, I immediately thought of Picard being chosen to be the arbiter, and decided how to choose the next Klingon chancellor in the TNG episode Arbiter of Succession. And Stress VK also says the younger disco fans aren't interested in the interrelationships and political intrigue with the Federation, but I like it a lot. And Stress Free K is commenting that Flobo is not here, but we love Flobo. We always want him to come on, but he does do his own show because look, Flobo always needs to be center stage. No, he has his YouTube channel, and I know he also does a lot of stuff with James Lott on his network. So you can always find Flobo, and I do hope before the season's over we're able to all get together and talk about what we're thinking, because yes, and as Troy points out, Flobo does indeed provide new
New
content
content
every
every
day.
day.
Yeah, it used to be every week, but now it's every day. That's how busy Flobo is. And
That brother's
I
on
will
the
be
hustle.
sure to let him know that people are missing him. And Yeah, he was always when we did the show at the AfterBuzz Studios. It was like, Flobo, you're on the chat because everybody's just talking about how much they love you anyway. So,
We'll
but
have to get him in here one day.
yeah, I will. I will talk to him very soon, and I think that this episode ended, and there's the kind of the sadness that Tilly might not be around in a little while. It's more disappointment. I think it's a good beat for her character. I do hope it leads to her, by next season just being back on the bridge full time. Or if she does leave in terms of being on the show weekly, getting to be a captain, and I mean, I think that just because she's not sure that she wants it right now, that doesn't mean she doesn't want it. Boy, I really enjoy hearing her talk about her mom, though. This was the second week in a row where it's like,
Yes.
can we just sit down with Tilly and talk about her mom for a little bit, because it seems like, this idea, like, I could never imagine how she would have been a diplomat. It doesn't it did not seem like she was suited
No.
for it.
No. Tilly's mom sounds like she was a pill,
Yeah,
and that Tilly survived that woman and turned out to be delightful
yeah.
is just a testament to Tilly, I think. Um, I am looking forward um, to getting more of Book, getting more of his exploration of his grief, but also getting to see what he can bring to the Discovery at this point, given what's happened to his home planet and given what he's going through. Is he going to be a key player in how they deal with the DMA? So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Saru and Tarina getting together. That sounds like it's going to be juicy. And and yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting more time with the crew, and I feel like this this figuring out what the DMA is going to give us an opportunity, or I hope an opportunity to see more of the rest of the crew, because we haven't even really had a chance to see enough of Stamets. We haven't seen uh like we know he's working on the DMA, but we haven't seen him spent much. Well, that's not true. We spent time with him last week.
Yeah,
We
but
also
you're right. I mean, this episode, it was like, and Stamets is too busy to really spend any time with us.
right.
I mean, that they've definitely set that up, and yeah, but sort of, yeah, we did get, but you're right. Apart from that last week, he's been very busy so
Yeah.
far this season. So
And Tignataro's character, didn't she come with them to the future?
she did. And I know sort of the real world behind the scenes things. I think Tig had there. It was basically how much time she wanted to spend in Toronto when they were filming this season. So she will be on this season, but I think it was, do you want this level of a storyline that requires, X number of days of filming, or a smaller story that
Got it.
involves less. So I believe that we will see her this year, but I think that it was just some real world, in terms of going to work in Canada. I think involved, at least at the time that they would have filmed this, I believe involved like a full like 2 weeks quarantining in a hotel, getting tested and sort of
Yeah.
waiting,
Yeah.
because it was filmed, I think, before there were even really vaccines widely available. So that's my understanding, is that it was filmed like last fall and maybe into the beginning of this calendar year, but obviously so much of this show takes that. But I do believe we'll see her. I thought I saw a quote from her, and maybe it was, like a Star Trek site, like pulled it out of an interview about something else where she mentioned. But I do believe that we'll see her. She is there, and yes, Troy says they say we will see her soon. And look at this from Stress Free K. Maybe Kathy Bates could play Tilly's mom in a flashback. I mean,
I'm not
misery,
mad at
Kathy
that.
Bates.
Yes.
Because yeah, that would be fantastic.
Kathy Bates would be the exact perfect person to play that
Yeah,
role. That would be
I know.
great.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. So hopefully we get to see that. Just a little flashback to little Tilly. But I hope she's not gone for long because I do like the character. And when we thought that we were going to be without Saru for some of this season, boy, they sure brought him right back to us. You
Yeah.
know, so hopefully she's not gone for too long. In any case, I feel like again we've had a couple of good episodes. This had the action of the giant, like snow squid monster, whatever that thing was. You know that was the real like physical threat that we need from our Star Trek shows. But it really was mostly even that storyline was a heavy metaphor for team building and being a teacher and all of that. And so I look forward to what we get next week. And speaking of next week, we will be here at this time next week, Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I know that's an inconvenient time in the UK for our friend Craig. But after that, we will have to figure out a couple of weeks. We'll have to be on at different days and times because I am going to be up to my eyeballs in Christmas and New Year's plans with the kids who will be home from school. And I'll tell you right now, one of the days that Star Trek Discovery will premiere, I know for a fact I will be at Legoland, so I cannot be
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah, so but Legoland is a great place to go to celebrate New Year's Eve if you want to have your countdown at 6 p.m. And I do, so it's perfect. In any case, though, we appreciate Troy, Stress Free K, and everybody else who is watching live. If you're watching the archive version, please leave comments. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. And maybe we will see if we can get comments from Flobo at some point. Troy wants to know if my kids watch Prodigy. My son is 6 and my daughter's 4. My son would probably be the right demographic for a Prodigy. I don't think it would hold his sister's interest long enough because there's not enough talking dogs in it. She's going through a Paw Patrol phase right now, and it's mostly Paw Patrol at all times. So
Got it.
if you tell me that Prodigy has a talking dog in one of the seasons, that might actually win her over. But yeah, I couldn't even get my kid to sit down and watch Star Wars with me. So he's 6, but he's a very young 6, So but maybe Prodigy will eventually be his way in. But I have to admit that I've still only seen the 2-part premiere that they did. I haven't seen subsequent episodes of Prodigy, so
I
I will need to
haven't
catch
watched
up
it
on
at
that.
all yet.
And I still haven't seen Lower Decks, but I know you watched that, right,
Lower
Nikki?
Decks was fun. It was a lot of fun, and it's a chance to enjoy Star Trek without taking Star Trek too seriously.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun. So I recommend watching it.
Well, maybe in 2022 I'll have a little time to dive into that and also into Prodigy. And oh my goodness, did
What?
somebody say Flobo? Flobo, your ears were burning because Stress Free K clearly talking about the one and only producer of new content every day.
Every day.
Yeah. So, and Flobo will put you on the spot about how we definitely need to get you on the show. We can figure out a way. We can we can bridge the two universes and do multiple shows at once. Whatever you want to do, we would love to hear your thoughts on this season of Discovery.
We
And
miss you.
we do. We miss Flobo. In Flobo, we're almost at the point where I can legitimately wish you a happy new year and it makes sense. Early 2020, we were actually, I think it was late. I don't even know when we did the Curb Your Enthusiasm after show, but we kept wishing each other Happy New Year every week because of the way that season premiered. And boy, it all kind of runs together the last 2 full years. And And Flobo misses us too. Look at that. Look at that avatar that he
Oh,
has. What a handsome photo that is. If I could zoom in on that, I would. I just don't think I have the technology. And he's wishing everybody a happy new year of January 2020 and, of course, 2022. Well, Flobo, thanks for stopping by. And you better believe that you'll have invitations extended to you. Flobo, if you want to be able to work in a plug for Commander's Log for people to catch more Star Trek Discovery conversation, please let us know in the chat while Nikki and I wrap things up for this week. But we will see everybody next Thursday, as I mentioned, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Nikki, if people want to keep in touch with you, how do they do that?
you can find me at nikkibaileycomedy.com or on all the social medias at nikkibailey _.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And please subscribe to the Blattcast YouTube channel, BLADTCAST. For this show, our show, Marvel Movie News, where we will be covering the next couple episodes of Hawkeye on Disney Plus. There's only 2 more left. These lengthy 6-episode series that they do, but boy, are we going to be talking a lot of Spider-Man with Spider-Man Far From Home.
Woohoo!
Be in theaters this next week at this time. I think the earliest showings are Thursdays at 3. Somebody's going to see a press screening on Monday, but whatever. That's not
Oh,
what we're here for.
oh.
That's not why we're here.
I was
We're
just about
here.
to brag about my opening day tickets, but never mind. Forget it.
Yeah. My press invite screenings where they're very clear that I don't get a +1, but that's all right. I want to keep all the glory to myself. And if you want to keep in touch with Flobo, I know he's at Flobo Boys, and he's got a Patreon, and I bless him for it. I could not handle the rejection of putting out there that I have a Patreon and then no one participating in it. Like every tier would be like $1 or like $1.10, because I'm like, I can't imagine asking people for anything, especially when I can give out free content every
Every
day.
day.
And Stress Free K appreciated a pleasant midday surprise to have our show. We will be back next Thursday at the same time, so make sure that you have watched Discovery by this time, and then we can talk more about it. Great to see everybody in the chat, especially Flobo, whom we miss. But that is all the time we have for this week. We will. Oh my gosh, Flobo, I'm worth at least $3. Thank you. That is the nicest thing anybody said to me in a very long time, and I wish that weren't true. So, but as always, we wish you a live long and prosper, and we'll see you all next week.